गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। We are in Amrit Anubhav, chapter 5 and verse number 57. And last week, towards the end, we were seeing how the absolute reality, which is beyond the speech and mind, beyond any references, is Ashcharyavat. It is inexplicable. It cannot be talked about, imagined as an object of experience, because you are that. The objects of the world can never imagine what the vision is. The sounds of the world cannot imagine what the hearing ability is, and so on. The five senses cannot imagine what the mind is. I should use the different word. They can only imagine what the mind is, but they can never know what the mind is. Similarly, mind can only imagine through thoughts what the self is, but it can never come to know the self as an object of experience. See, this is the Ashcharyavat, and yet we are talking about it. Yet the scriptures are talking about it, talking about that which is beyond the words, thinking about that which is beyond the mind, contemplating on that which is beyond the intellect. And फिर क्या करें, बेवकूफ़ी चल रही है. हाँ, बिल्कुल बेवकूफ़ी चल रही है. यू आर मैड एंड आई एम ऑल्सो मैड. But it doesn't mean that we must not keep putting the efforts. Either you become quiet, okay, it's Bekoof, I don't want to be Bekoof, and you stop. Stop all imaginations, not only about the self, but about everything. Then it's okay. So, all sadhanas, as we told you last week, all sadhanas can only bring you to the threshold. They can only bring you to the doorsteps of the sanctum sanctorium. Your thinking that I want to go to sleep can only bring you to the doorsteps of sleep. You cannot open the door of sleep. And the moment it opens from inside, you get sucked in. It's just an example, okay? Nothing like this happens. But people experience when they are doing, oh, my mind is getting sucked into nothingness. Oh, my mind is getting sucked into this imagination. Getting sucked in means getting absorbed, thought fixation. People come back home, their mind gets absorbed. In what? I must have a scotch or a beer. Others say we want drugs. Others mind is absorbed or sucked into eating. Eat or eat, eat, eat or eat. So we are caught up somewhere or the other. See, the principle is the same. That whatever you think about, you can never come to know it till it absorbs you completely. that you and it become one. See, so is sleep, so is food. As long as it is up separate from you, you cannot know what food is, what taste it is, what nourishment it is, until it becomes one with you. And once it becomes one with you, then you cannot come to know, because then the doctor tells you, you are eating healthy. Because now it's no longer separate from you for you to know. See? Same way. Only when you come out of sleep, then you know that yes, the sleep was deep. It was a nourishing sleep. See? So same way, when all the sadhanas, Kundalini, Kriya Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Aghori, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, they can only bring you to the doorway of a reality. Then by grace the door opens, and just like in then and we get merged into the reality. He pulls you in. Just like our Nachiket, he must have done something to reach the abode of death. When he reached there, he was waiting for 3 days, no? He couldn't enter inside. He All he could do was come to the doorway of death. He had to be invited by Lord Yamaraj to enter the abode. Same way. You can drive to someone's house, you can reach the door, you have to ring the bell. It is up to them whether they allow you to come inside their house, or they even if they are inside the house, they say, no, 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 this is a problematic person, we don't want him in. All you can do is go to the doorway. We can ask for bhiksha. Amma, I am coming for food. But the choice is with the other person, whether to give or not to give. Same way here. And therefore, these are all very gross examples, but what is told here is that all sadhanas feel so ashamed that they run away accepting their defeat. All sadhanas which are based on aham idam, that means where there is duality, subject object duality, vritti that I am the meditator and I must realize the truth, is only an objectification of the truth. It is maintained and sustained in duality, in a sense of otherness. The different types of experiences which are imagined to be the truth also fail, because they are all born in the triad of experiencer, experienced, experience. So all experiences, what experience people get? People hear sounds, people feel ants crawling on their spine, frog jumping on their spine, heat rising from the base of the spine, going all the way to the top. They feel lightheaded. They see snakes. They see gods. They see a point comes where they hear the pranava, where they see the sun. Their mind is completely baffled by the effulgence of the sun inside their head, inside their mind, and continuously it is there for some time. Then they hear the damru, and so many things are there. So many. The veena is heard. Different colors are seen. But when we get excited about these experiences, then we are going the wrong way. We have to understand that all experiences happen only where there is a triputi, the triad. Triputi is knower, known, knowing, experiencer, experienced, experiencing. There is subject, object, and instrument of knowledge. What is truth? Truth is beyond these three. It is not in the realm of duality. Triad cannot, the basis of triad is duality. Only in duality the triad, where there is duality, triad only will function. The triputi will function. Truth is beyond. Triputi is what makes a thought. Experience is a thought. That I am feeling heavy, I am feeling light. It's a thought. I am listening to sounds, it is a thought. I'm seeing these visions, it's a thought. I saw God in the mind, it's a thought. The pure self is not a thought. It is beyond the thought. And it can never be understood as an objective experience. It cannot be known. Like I'm seeing you, I can see this book, I can feel this book, I can taste, I can touch. We can't do that with regards to the self. And truth being absolute bliss, efforts and struggle cannot be the means to the blissful end. Too much struggle, too much efforts, doing pranayam and pratyahar and dharana and single pointed focus, concentration, it will give you a headache in the end. Yes, these are ways, no doubt. But where there is efforts, there is heat generated. Effort is the subject I is wanting the object I or wanting the object God or wanting the object Parabrahma Paramatma. So where there is subject and object, where there is two, there will be friction, and friction generate, the heat is generated. Where there is two, always heat. बर्तन बजते हैं, आवाज आती है. See, so lot of heat will be generated, lot of and that if you persevere through it, yes, heat will purify. What it will purify? It will purify your diseases. If you do a bit of pranayam, it might dissolve the thoughts in the mind also to a large extent. But all this is not equal to realization, to abidance in the self. So here he is saying that why you want to go through this entire process called sadhana. The wave is already the infinite waters. The individual is already the infinite absolute self, the all-pervasive self. Then where is the problem? The problem is in the individuality. Dissolve the individuality. And the best way to dissolve the individuality is look at everything from the absolute point again and again and again. There is no conclusion, because absolute point, only absolute is. How the absolute is Jeev, Jagat, Ishwar at the same time? The Parabrahma Paramatma, using his potency, is expressing as the Triputi. On one hand individuality, other hand God, the Ishvara, and third the Jagat, the names and forms. He alone is. How is it? Stay with it. It will be revealed. And it will be only revealed when you accept that absolute reality, which is expressing as Jeev, Jagat, Ishvara, in that process, that absolute reality I am. The individuality has to go. All efforts can lead to only up to a point. As I told you before, they can lead you only up to the doorway, to the threshold of the sanctum sanctorium. The final annihilation of individuality is the final upaya, where the contemplation of the infinite happens without one's effort. And see, in life, everything is happening of its own. Unnecessarily, the ego is saying, I am doing it. Hunger happens, the ego says, I am hungry. Now, are you hungry if you have had your breakfast? Listening is taking place, it's happening. Listening is happening. Ego will say, I am listening. Talking is happening, but the ego says, I am talking, I am understanding. It hijacks the whole natural process. See, this I, which is owning this also, that also, everything it's owning, this I is the culprit. Actually, it is the infinite one, but it is imagining itself, it has crystallized itself, and therefore, here it says the final annihilation of the individuality is the final upaya. Ultimately, the I has to go. The waker is thinking, I have to sleep, I have to sleep, I have to sleep. Until unless the waker does not vanish, till then sleep will not begin. The waker has to surrender. The waker has to go out of existence. Where waker goes out of existence, there the sleep has begun. But can the waker who is thinking, I have to sleep, I have to sleep, I have to sleep, I have to sleep, can he go out of existence? No. All he can do is come to the threshold of sleep and allow the sleep to absorb, consume the waker. In the same manner, we come to the threshold of the reality, we come from manyness, we come to the one. What is the one? The I. Idam is many, aham is one. We come to know I, we come to be the I, we recognize that I am not the father, mother, daughter, sister, I am not the body, I am not born, I am not in this world, the world is in me. All that concepts, you can all look at it, but eventually you come to, okay, I am the subject I. That is most important. If I is not there, nothing else is important. Now, who is this I? How do I destroy this I? How do I dissolve this I? They say this I is the absolute truth. They say this I is the absolute knower. They say this I is the unborn and undying. But I don't experience that. The I thought comes and goes in the mind. You're contemplating on I. Somewhere, as you are, if you continue to stay with the I, for how long? Maybe 3 seconds. 3 seconds is too long. Somewhere it is written. 3 seconds is too long. If you stay with it, instantaneously you get absorbed. See? What gets absorbed? The I thought gets absorbed, dissolved. Then what happens? Then I remains, but without a thought. I without a thought is absolute reality. There you are. I without the I thought is absolute reality. So come to be that. Then once you have known that, then what? Then I thought will not appear. Yes, it will appear afterwards. Then it does not matter whether it is there or not there. For functional purposes, the mind is using the language of I and you, but you don't get corrupted. You are ever the witnessing consciousness. This is possible only by the grace of the Sadguru. Thereafter, the individuality is totally dissolved, and there is no one to describe, and there is nothing left to be described. One is oneself. Once the wave has realized that it is the infinite ocean of infinite waters, thereafter, from water's point of view, are there any waves? No. Is there any God called ocean? No. Are there manyness of waves? No. Is there ice? No. Is there water vapor, froth, tsunami? No. Everything is water only. So, from water's point of view, nothing apart from it exists. Everything that exists made up of water is only an imagination. It's only a phenomena. It's only a phenomena. Water is unaffected. Same way, the absolute self is unaffected. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita again and again says, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, remain equanimous, practice equanimity as you move through the world. Remain undisturbed by any circumstances that world presents to you. Why is the experience of truth not possible? It says, Ye the nidharisi vicharu, nimoni zhala saru, swami chya sankati shuru, subhatu zaisa. As an obedient, brave soldier sacrifices his life for the sake of his king, so also all thoughts have finally laid down their own existence in the self-enquiry. An example is taken here. Just as a soldier gives up his life for the king because he is faithful, because he is committed, because he loves, respects, reveres. Therefore, he does. Same way, all the thoughts. What is self-enquiry? What is self-enquiry? Self-enquiry is contemplating on the true nature of I. That is self-enquiry. What is self-enquiry? You want to sleep. That is, it's not enquiry, but it is like when you are thinking of sleep, all other thoughts sacrifice themselves at the altar of sleep. Then only one thought is left, that is of sleep, and eventually when there are no disturbances and only the thought of sleep is left, even that also gets dropped away by itself, and the I gets absorbed. Same way, in self-enquiry, who am I? What is that my nature is the absolute nature, I am all pervasive. You are coming to the I. And when the I is objectively seeking I, it is called self-enquiry. Initial stages, because the mind is active. So you are saying, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? But don't wait for an answer, because you are the answer, you are the questioner also, and you are the answer also. The I is questioning by support of other thoughts, and I is the answer without any thought. See how wonderful it is. I is the questioner, who am I? It has taken the support of the thoughts called who am I. And the answer is I without a thought. See? So what is, just a matter of, in the manner of explanation, or in that contemplation, all other thoughts of relations, possessions, world, this, that, past, future memories, childhood memories, teenage memories, youth memories, children's memories, everything, all of them sacrifice themselves at the altar of enquiry. They sacrifice themselves. Means they allow themselves to be swaha, allow themselves to be burnt away. Because your focus on who am I is so single pointed, so committed, so unwavering that all other thoughts appear in the periphery, but your attention is not there for them. Your attention is only on who am I. You are not available. Your importance and value giving is only towards this inquiry, who am I, not to all the other things that are popping up in your mind in the periphery. If you give attention, that will become you, then you will go after it. But you are fired up by wanting to know who am I, and all these thoughts, desires, imaginations which are popping up in the mind, they start burning away because no attention. When no attention, it is called sacrifice. They die their own death. They become unmanifest. And that is, understand this as a principle. This is what is happening everywhere when you focus on something. But we have chosen the most focusable, and that is the I, which is going to lead us to the self-abidance, to the absolute truth. A dedicated, disciplined, and brave soldier is ready to sacrifice his own life for the sake of his king. In the same way, the seeker, the inquirer, must be ready to totally discard both the individuality called the inquirer and the inquiry, and make a total sacrifice of both. But how? It's so difficult. Don't you do it every night? The sleeper I, who wants to sleep, the thought of sleep, which is an idea in your head, and I, both are sacrificed at the altar of sleep. Then only sleep begins. Exactly the same way, the seeker, the inquirer, and the inquiry, both are sacrificed, both are surrendered at the altar of the self. If we are not available to surrender, then we will keep thinking, this they say the truth is the self is Satchit Ananda, I'm to Satta Satta, मैं तो सत्य हूँ, मैं तो चित्त हूँ, मैं तो आनंद हूँ, but I'm not feeling any ananda. How can I be going in the right direction? A mind will hijack you if you give that opportunity. You have to have the courage to go beyond the realm of knowledge at the thought level. Thought level means Triputi. We must be ready to give it up. And you know how to give it up because you give it up when you go to sleep. We don't know why individuals sabotage their own happiness by not recreating the whole journey to sleep consciously. Then alone shall the truth be revealed. The salt doll jumps into the ocean to know its depth, and in the process dissolves itself to become the ocean. In the same way, one must have the courage to let go of all support, all thoughts, and make a total surrender at the altar of truth. There is a famous example from Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's example. The salt doll jumps to see how deep is the water, how deep is the ocean. We are jumping. We are the salt doll. We are the crystallized eye. Salt is also crystal. So crystals put together is a salt doll. Crystallized consciousness is the ego. This ego is jumping into wanting to know the depth of what is the true nature of I, what is the true nature of mind. It is jumping. As long as it remains contemplating, it will result in melting of the individuality, dissolution of the individuality. If the salt doll jumps and immediately comes out, then it will not melt, no? It has to continue to seek the depths of the ocean. Same thing we have to do. For that you have to practice dhanabhyas. You have to do I am saying do meditation, live life equanimously, and if meditation pulls you in, let it happen. Inquire all the time. In the background, this contemplation should always go on. That I am in essence the Absolute One. For that, and what is its result? If we can use that word, remain equanimous when you are moving through world. Thereafter, there will be no seeker left to talk about the experience. He will be the experience itself. Just as the waker who was seeking sleep, he gave up the waker gave up the waker, and he gave up the thought of sleep. Then the sleep began. And there is no one left to say that I have gone to sleep now. There is no one left. Exactly the same way, the seeker and the inquiry, that is seeking, both are dropped, both are surrendered, or both get surrendered if the disposition is there. And then once one is abiding, the individuality is dissolved. There is no one left to say that I did the sadhana, that I studied the scriptures, that I withdrew from the world, that I came to realize. There is no one to say that I came to realize. Because wherever the Absolute Self looks, it's only a communication reason I'm using this word. Wherever the Absolute Self that I am looks, it sees itself only. Because there is nothing outside the Absolute Self. And therefore the scriptures say it's an experienceless experience, it's an abidance-less abidance, it's a knowing-less knowing. This sacrifice means total devaluation of everything in the external world. Total devaluation, and that is what people are afraid of. That's why they maintain their crystallized ego. They don't want to devalue the wife, they don't want to devalue the husband, father, employee. More important, they don't want to devalue being the body. They don't want to devalue the personality that they have become. See? The sacrifice means total devaluation of everything in the external world, and the madness and the readiness. To be ready, you have to be mad. So it came madness. and the readiness and sharpness to see the divine messenger and the divine message in everyone, in every situation, and in every experience. See, this becomes our disposition. Even after abidance, now mind will not be able to work it out what I'm going to say. After that, even still the body continues to function, mind continues to function. Just like every night when you go to sleep, after that again waking happens, you cannot stop it, because the phenomena of the mind is waking, dream, deep sleep. Now what we are saying, we have added one more, Turiya Tattva. What is that? We have come to meditate and realize that we are the Absolute One. But the phenomena will still continue. Just because the wave has come to know that it is water, the waves will continue to appear on the waters from the external point of view. So same here also, from external point of view, the body, breath, mind, intellect, they'll continue to function. For whom? For the others. Then what are you doing? Because you are totally in tune, you are everything. So what does this unified experience express as externally? Where was unified experience? In I as I. That is absolute reality. But when the phenomena of the mind, your mind had merged, all the thoughts had sacrificed, you were inquiring who am I, you realized I realized that it is all that there is, then again the mind gets into the phenomena of the mind will continue to function. It can't remain absorbed all the time. Then it starts functioning. And what is the functioning of mind? Functioning of mind is manifestation of thoughts, manifestation of experiences, waking, dream, deep sleep. And within each, whatever the various variety is going on. But now, because the I is abiding in the I as I, the Absolute One, and it has clicked by grace that everything is I alone. Then this body is also I, this breath is also I, this mind and intellect is also I, the world is also I, every experience is I. There is nothing outside this I. So I playing with I. This is absolute, if you want to speak in the language of the external world, it is perfect integration. It is perfect integration, where you are in the right place, this equipment is at the right place at the right time, with the right experience, with the right people, with the right opportunities. In that way you can say, because that is the language which we understand. So if divinity is playing with divinity, if absolute reality is playing with absolute reality, if absolute reality, not if, it is the truth, absolute reality you have realized. Now you are playing with yourself. How you are playing with yourself? You alone have become the Triputi, subject, object and instrument of knowledge. You are the subject, I thought. You are the object, the idam, the world. You are the instrument, the body, senses and mind. So I is as if appearing as these three, and now the interaction between these three is the game that is going on. Then it is called Leela. With this recognition, when you look at it, it is called Leela. And therefore he says the readiness and sharpness, and when we maintain that poise, when we maintain that alertness, then when we because initial stages there is every possibility. So every one of you, me, every person on this planet, thousands and millions of times they are they are the self, and then they come out of that self, because between every two thoughts you alone are. The moment thought comes, you get hijacked by the thought. You get hijacked by the thought. So many times during the day you are abiding in yourself, but we do not have the eye to recognize it. We haven't developed. So if I take out the glasses, I don't have the eyes, the vision to see you all in clear forms. It's all the all of you are merging into one soup. But the moment I wear the glasses, I see you all clearly. See? Exactly this opposite is from the absolute point. The I, the one who is abiding, he sees everything clearly. For me, clarity means you are separate to him, is separate to that, is separate to laptop, is separate to phone. Differences are clarity for me. But from absolute standpoint, what is clarity? Everything is me. तो बिल्कुल उल्टा. देखा, exactly 180 degrees. Everything is me. Hare. So this obsession of division has to drop. This division is not out there in the world. It is in our mind. Subject-object division. So when we come from the absolute standpoint, having accessed it, then the mind comes into play, because it is its nature to manifest and to unmanifest, to manifest and to unmanifest. So under circumstances, on the seat of meditation, because of your focus, because of your inquiry, the mind surrendered, mind dissolved itself at the altar of the inquiry. You came to know. But how long can it remain absorbed? Eventually it will come back out, again manifest. And when it manifests, then the world begins. For the external world begins. Now the question is, do you maintain the poise of abidance in spite of mind manifesting as thoughts? Or do you lose the plot and start giving reality to the triputi? You start giving reality to the objects, the idam. And the moment, if we give importance to the idam, if we give importance to the objects, value to the objects, give them a status of reality other than I, then we have lost the plot. Then after some time, our mind will become agitated. Oh, that was so wonderful meditation. Where has it gone? I must access it tomorrow also. Then day after tomorrow also. And then when it doesn't happen again, when you try, then frustration comes in. But if you have come to know yourself, then there is no place for frustration. You should be cool as ice, comfortable in any situation. And that is only possible if we do not allow the idam, the objects, to hijack the I. This is what is happening in you and me most of the times. We become the waker, we become the dreamer, we become the sleeper, we become the husband, we become the wife, we become the mother or father, we become the employee, we become the doctor. We keep becoming. Becoming means We have been hijacked by what is present in front of us at that time. Then we become. Catch this. If the child is in front of you, the woman has become the mother. Can we stop mother from expressing herself? No. Because that is the phenomena. You cannot stop that. Can you stop the wife from expressing in front of the husband? No, we cannot. So allow that to happen, but don't get disturbed by the phenomena. Don't take the phenomena to be real. How do you not take the phenomena to be real? By reconfiguring it, saying that the phenomena is pervaded by me. I am the mother, I am the child, and I am the experience, all in one. I am the woman, I am the wife, becoming his wife, I am the wife, and I am the husband also, and the experience also. So in that process, the becoming drops, and you remain in the poise of the self all the time. The I, even though the role is expressing at the phenomenal level, the absolute poise is not allowed to be hijacked. Because what has become? The thought I has become the wife or the husband or the whatever. But is the thought I the absolute self? It can never be. The thought I appears with every object and disappears with every object. That interaction, the Triputi, subject appears only when there is object. Then thought is created. One thought, then, and your experience is one thought comes, then it goes away. Then next thought comes, then it goes away. Then third thought comes, then it goes away. So what is the thought? The Triputi of subject, object, and instrument. Allow it to come and go. Are you not watching at this moment all the thoughts coming and going through your mind? So many, I'm blabbering away, so you are listening. Allow listening to take place. You remain in the poise. That all this is the Leela. And that's when we find the complete integrity, when we stand apart from the phenomena. Phenomena is subject, object, instrument of knowledge. When we stand apart from the Triputi, then we find we are at the right place, at the right time, in the right experience, with the right whatever. Everything is right at that moment. That is called complete integrity. And such a person, what Swamiji says here, he has the capacity, he has the vision to see the divine message and to see a divine messenger and a divine message in everyone, in every situation and in every experience. That every person who comes into your experience at that moment, it is the divine messenger. So whether it is husband, whether it is child, whether it is a thief, whether it is a whoever comes into your life, grandchild, divine messenger. And what are they giving? They are not giving. What do we do? Oh, my chunnu munnu, oh, my husband, and then you thopo uske upar apne sare problems or apne. No, divine messenger means he is, because your vision is coming from the poise, you see him as the self alone, without any judgment, without any superimposing some role on it. You're not making him someone, just accepting that person as it is. It becomes then This vision will allow you to see the divine, the person who has come into your life as the divine messenger. And whatever he speaks, whatever that person does, child, husband, unknown person, whatever they do, it is the divine message. Sometimes it is, in the worldly sense, it is a good experience or a bad experience, but in the end it's a message that we must correct our, if it is a positive one, we know that we are moving in the right direction. If it is a negative one, we know we need to correct ourselves. Yesterday, after Bhagavad, not Bhagavad, Adhyatma Ramayan, I was sitting with Dinesh and Seema, and we were just saying that Swami Anubananji is giving lectures nowadays. He was having retreat in the Rishikesh and this, and yes, I said, so they said, Swamiji, live satsang is better than online satsang. I said, yes, but what can we do? He says, no, many times we listen and answers come straight away when we are listening to satsang. This is what it is. I said, okay, that happens to me also. How did it happen? So I gave him two examples. I said, one day after my Wednesday or Thursday class, when I finish at 9 o'clock, at 9:30 in winter time, I used to listen to Swamiji's. At 9:30 they used to start. Now they start at 10:30. So 9:30 I used to listen to his lecture. So one day I saw, oh, there's a pile of clothes I had to iron, and I took the iron board, got the press going, and I was ironing, and Swamiji was giving, and I'm listening to Swamiji's lecture, and not even 5 minutes passed, and he says, oh, people should sit and relax and listen to the lecture and not iron clothes when they are listening to the lecture. I said, अरे स्वामी जी को कैसे पता चला कि मैं प्रेस कर रहा हूँ? Divine message. Huh? And another day, after many weeks, I was so tired after Sanskrit class and after morning class on a Sunday. Full on. Then few people came. I was exhausted, and again I was lying down in the bed, and I put the lecture on and I was listening, and not even 5 minutes passed, and he said, oh, you should sit down and listen to lecture. Some people think it is okay to lie down and listen to lecture. Immediately I sat up. As if he is watching. This is how message comes. This is a very gross way of I am telling you. Now this is also a message coming to you here, because I am talking, so it is a message coming to you. Whatever the Amrit Anubhav, for both of us, Amrit Anubhav is the experience that is coming to us, the divine message coming to us through Jnaneshwar Maharaj. It was always there for last 760 years. In our life, Amrit Anubhav was always there for last 50, 60, 70, 80 years. But did we ever read it? No. Now it is there in front of us. It is coming to us in a communicable language. The message is coming. But are we taking it as a divine message, or are we taking it as just mechanically? हाँ चलो भाई सुबह का टाइम पास अच्छा हो जाता है. टाइम पास तो करना चाहिए, no doubt. But divine message means not that we have to do something. Divine message means at that very moment, while the messenger and the message is in front of you, you come back to poise. With every word that you hear, you are transported to the self. Not even the word transported. You come to abide in the self. With every thought or no thought, you maintain that poise of constancy. See? Truth is that where there is only pure experience without an experiencer, See, when I was saying that you are in that poise and I am listening, so mind is listening. Mind can only function when there is subject, object, and the experience. But you are in the poise, you are watching. I thought becomes a ego when I am other than the I thought. I thought is coming and going. I am not coming and going. I am the permanent one. I am watching the I thought come and go. I am listening to the last sentence. I listen. This sentence I am listening. Now again I am listening. Now again I am listening to the words that are coming. So I is coming and going. You are not coming and going. The I thought is coming and going. But when this I thought starts, something inside, it becomes so fast. I know, I see, I hear, I touch, I feel, I think. It goes on fast. Instead of maintaining the poise that I am watching the Triputi come and go, I become the I. The I takes the ownership of everything. That's when the ego is formed. So maintain this poise, don't get disturbed by what is going on. Then ego will not be allowed to be formed. Don't give a comment, don't pass a comment, don't imagine. Then only one thing is happening. I, subject, is interacting with object, and there is an experience taking place. This is our lot right now. When experience takes place, what is happening? If I am listening, if words are coming to me, you are the subject, I am the sound is the object, and when you interact with the sound, the idam, you become the listener. You become the listener. If your video is on and you are looking at me, then you become the seer. If thirst comes and you take the water, you become the drinker. So one moment you became the listener, one moment you became the seer, one moment you became the drinker, and this way we keep becoming. Understood? This is what is happening at the moment. Now let's see what he says. Where are we? Which verse? Truth is that where there is only pure experience without an experiencer. Na shu sadhuni apula dodhu bodhe lazila nusudhe pane thotavala anubhavu zetha. The knowledge in thought form disappeared in front of the self-effulgent pure consciousness, and there remains an experience without an experiencer. There remains an experience without an experiencer. See, when we see a small child, it's so cute, it's so cuddly, and you want to immediately pick up that child and hug that child. How do you hug? You don't say, "Oh, I like this child." No, you don't shake him out there away from you. What do? You take him into your embrace, and as if that child and you are one. That is the embrace, isn't it? And in that you forget that there are two. That all consuming experience, if it is there taking, and it is happening, you forget the two and become one. That is when the person feels accepted, the person feels the love is where there is no two. Love is not where there is two. Then it is attachment. Then it is infatuation. Then it is ownership. Prem or Shuddha or love necessarily means where the two melt into one. And that is what we do with a child. That is what we do with someone whom we see after a long time. That is what we do with food. As long food is separate, me and food is separate, then it becomes one. Then there is no experienced left. See? We become one. So here he says, the knowledge in the thought form disappeared in front of the self-effulgent pure consciousness, and there remains an experience without the experiencer. When you are in that complete union with the other, there is no experiencer, because you have lost yourself in that other, or melted the other into the I. See? And this is knowingly or unknowingly, this is always going on in your life. This is what is going on. Now all you have to do is stop becoming and start being. Continue. Everything else will still continue, but don't become, be. Again, first there was one vritti, the thought that I am the body, I am this jiva, limited and conditioned. Then through study of the scriptures, etc., a counter vritti that now I am Paramatma was developed. This is what we have been doing throughout the scriptures, scriptural study, that I am a jiva, now I am the Paramatma. Both are thoughts. And that's what is happening in your life. I am single, now I am double, I am a husband. Then I am a father. Then I am father-in-law. Then I am grandfather. So it's still the one. So first there was one vritti. There was one. See, being single bachelor, consequences, the type of thoughts you get are different. When you get married, the consequences of experiences of life and the thoughts for a husband are totally different. Then you have children, the consequences, the experiences and the thoughts that a father gets are totally different. And same way for all other roles. But the man remains the same man. Man doesn't get the thought of wife, man doesn't get the thought of, is not attached to the wife or the children or the in-laws or whoever. Man remains the same. The role is becoming. Man is free. Whether husband appears and goes away, or the brother appears and goes away, or the father comes and goes away, or father-in-law comes and goes away, it does not matter to the man. Man is untouched by these roles. Whether they are there or not there, nothing, man is not disturbed. If he knows that he is the man, okay? If he knows. If he doesn't know, then he is only becoming, and he will go through the roller coaster ride of the life. Screaming all the way. In roller coaster, only one thing you do, scream. Highs and lows, यही चल रहा है लाइफ में, और क्या चल रहा है. Again, first there was one vritti thought that I am this body, I am this jiva, I am this individual, I am this body, I am this individual. Without body, individuality cannot express. So what was our understanding about ourselves? Were we born with thinking that I am Paramatma? No. We didn't even know we were the body. We were stupid. We were ignorant. Therefore, we were in bliss. But as school, daddy, mummy kept teaching us, I am the body, this is my toy, then ego comes up. So, this is my body. Then we come to understand somewhere we must have heard, oh, I am the soul. Body comes and goes, the soul goes from one body to the next body. When we come to the scriptures, we come to realize, Arey, this soul is nothing but jiva, it's a phenomena. Just like reflection in the mirror is a phenomena, it is a creationless creation. You come and stand in front of the mirror, your image, your reflection will be there. So, did you enter into the mirror? No, it was entryless entry. Then there is a reflection, it is a reflection-less reflection. There is no one there, but yet someone seems to be there. You have never entered into the mirror, but then how come you are seeing yourself? See, this is exactly what is taking place in our mind. Mind is the screen, mind is the mirror. You are standing in front of the mirror. Reflection will come. Now, are you seeing the reflection pure, or are you seeing a distorted reflection? No, I am the reflection. Let me comb the hair of the reflection. Let me put clothes on the reflection. Let me take care of the people in the reflection, those who are related to the reflection. This is becoming. How foolish it sounds, isn't it? But that's exactly what you and me are doing in our daily life. How can you say you and me are doing? I'm trying to teach you that which cannot be taught, and you are trying to understand that which cannot be understood. All is happening a phenomena. देखो, बुद्धू बुद्धू को सिखा रहा है और बुद्धू बुद्धू से सीख रहा है. Catch this. चलो ये बात दूर कर देते हैं. But first was I am the body, then I am the jiva. Then when we come to the scripture study, we understand this phenomena of jiva, which we have taken ourselves to be, is actually in its true nature the Paramatma. So why has, we have heard that many times, why has it not clicked? Because we have not stopped becoming. We have not got fired up by the idea that I am the Paramatma. Our profession is important, our roles are important, all roles of profession or family, or they are becoming. You have become the doctor, you have become the engineer, you have become the wife, husband. So you are only becoming. You are not ready to give that up. How do you give it up? We are not saying, oh, I must resign from my job, I have to give up that job. No. I must divorce, so I will stop becoming a husband or wife. No, we are not saying that. Get fired up. Have longing for, have the understanding that in essence, this I that I am, who I consider as an individual person, is actually Paramatma. It's the all-inclusive one. So what is individual? Individual means I am one individual, you are one individual, she is one individual, he is one individual. So many individuals. This is individual. Creates distance, creates separation, creates differences. Paramatma, no differences. So I am the one who is all inclusive. This transformation must happen from Jiva to Paramatma. In Bhakti Yoga, the in-between step between Jiva to Paramatma is Bhagwan. See? First, there was one vritti, the thought that I am the body, I am this jiva, limited and conditioned. Then, through study of the scriptures, etc., a counter vritti that now I am Paramatma. Just as for why was Sat, why was Paramatma called as Satchidananda? Satchidananda, Jnaneshwar Maharaj said, do not qualify the Paramatma. Do not qualify the absolute truth. Sat is used to counteract Asat. Chit is used to counteract Achit. Anand is used to counteract Dukkham. Similarly, I am Paramatma thought is used to counteract I am the jiva or I am the body thought. So here, I am the Paramatma was developed. So we keep thinking now if we want to move towards that, just like very simple, when you get married, especially the boys, when they get married, uh, they have never been used to responsibility. They have never been used to the uh, to a woman in their life apart from their mother. And mother used to do everything that they say. But wife, she says, "Abhi, apni jagah pe baith." So challenges. Now she is at home. She is waiting for you. You are busy मटर गश्ती कर रहे हो अपने दोस्तों के साथ. So like you were a bachelor. So for some period you go through this period. People tell me, I have never been married, so I don't know, but I have observed and seen that the boy enjoys his bachelor company and disregards the newly married girl at home. But as days goes by, he understands that he needs to cater for her also. So he starts the language that he uses with his friends, that the time that he spends with his friends keeps becoming less and less and less, and he starts spending more and more time with his wife. Exactly the same way, you are spending more and more time at this moment with I am the body, I am the individual. When we start thinking of I am the Paramatma, it's something new idea. I don't understand, I don't know what it is. At least wife I can see, Paramatma I can't see. But if we keep attending the satsangs, listening to satsangs, reading, contemplating, meditating, and we keep engaged with this idea that I am essentially the Paramatma. Oh, it's okay, I don't know it right now, but I need to slowly unfold. I have to expand this jiva's consciousness to be the Paramatma consciousness. So we keep thinking of Paramatma, what its disposition is, how it is, what it is. It is I only, but we keep contemplating on it. And the whole, till now, how many 340 pages we have studied, it's all about that only. All other texts we are doing is about that only. So as we keep interacting with the I am the Paramatma, I am the Paramatma, I am the Paramatma, then I am the jiva, I am the body thought become weak, because the conviction that I am Paramatma is increasing. If this conviction is increasing, the conviction that I am the body and I am the jiva, I was born, etc., all that starts receding. Receding means it starts dissolving, it starts melting away. The body consciousness, the individual consciousness starts melting away, meaning the ego starts melting away. See? This is the principle. We are not talking about some special technique. No, this is the principle on which everything is functioning. Whether you know it or you don't know it, this is how it is working. However, in the presence of pure consciousness, which is self-illumined, both these forms being ashamed of themselves, because both are noted in this aham vritti, disappeared. So as the I am Paramatma, when this abidance increases, a thought free, or you are contemplating on it, just like you keep contemplating on sleep, and eventually the thought of sleep and the thinker of sleep, which is the waker, both of them disappear. Similarly, as we keep thinking of I am Paramatma, the I am body, I am the Jiva, these two thoughts and that experience along with that, that also dissolves away, and what remains is only the Paramatma that I am, without a thought. See? एक बहुत फाइन, दिस इज वेरी वेरी फाइन inquiry. It, if you just listening and doing it, you have to be subjective at this moment. That you are other than the thoughts. Allow the ears to listen. Don't become the listener. You be the pure consciousness. You be the eternal witness. Allow the eyes to see, but you remain as the eternal. Don't become the seer. You remain as the eternal witness. Then it will, if there is no seer and seeing is taking place, then it is called seeing less seeing. If hearing is taking place and there is no hearer, there is only the eternal witness, the Sakshi, then it is called hearing less hearing. Experience is taking place, but there is no experiencer, you are the eternal witness, the Sakshi, then it is called experience less experience. That is our truth. That is who we are. Untouched by the experienced, untouched by the experiencer. Don't become the experiencer. You are the Parabrahma Paramatma. Take that position. To take that position, to be in that disposition, replace I am the body, I am the Jiva with all its consequences by I am the Paramatma thought. Then naturally I am the Paramatma will have its consequences. What is it? I am all pervading, I am self-effulgent, I am all knowing, I am ever in bliss. Then be that. Then be that. Where is the problem? Both these thought forms being ashamed of themselves, just as, so when we are thinking I am Paramatma, I am Paramatma, I am Paramatma, just like we are saying I am sleep, I want to sleep, I want to sleep, I want to sleep, or I want to merge into Paramatma, or I am the Paramatma, this thought is become the mainstay of our mind, contemplation, inquiry, and just as the waker and the thought of sleep dissolve, here also he says the I am the body and I am the Jiva thoughts dissolve themselves, and that is dissolve themselves because they are ashamed. Just like darkness dissolves itself by the advent of the sunshine, it cannot stay. So the moment the Paramatma thought or Paramatma, which is you, arises by first you are thinking, it is grace only. In that very moment, the I am the body and I am the Jiva thought dissolve themselves, they recede away, because they were existing in their own absence anyway. What is darkness? Darkness is that which exists in its own absence. The moment light comes, darkness recedes because it was not there anyway in the first place. So don't give it too much value. So both I am the body is a thought, I am the jiva is also a thought in your mind. Both of them dissolve away. Both are rooted in this aham vritti. This I am. What is I am? If someone asks you, what do you say? Arey, who are you? Indian people always ask, no? Who are you? What is your background? Which country you come from? Which state you come from? Which language do you speak? How many wives you have? How many children you have? What job do you do? How many diseases you have? They want the whole kundali straight away. पहली मीटिंग में ही चाहिए सब कुछ. And what do you say? You don't say I am Paramatma. You say, I am the husband of this girl, I am the father of these many, I am the son of so this. I am doing this particular profession. Even after becoming sannyasi, sannyasi means who has given up everything. They write, Sannyasi Garbhadananda, what you call, IIT or IAS or Dr. Swami Garbhadananda. डॉक्टर स्वामी. अभी तक डॉक्टर का भूत अभी तक उतरा नहीं है. So even though he is Swami, he is not ready to give up his profession. He still feels he wants the respect, the accolade, the recognition that he is a doctor. मैंने 7 साल मेडिसिन की पढ़ाई करके क्या टाइम थोड़ा ना पास किया. आई एम अ डॉक्टर. आई कैन कम, आई कैन हेल्प मेनी पीपल. People should know that I am a doctor even though I am a sannyasi. This is corruption of the mind. ये ईगो ट्रिप है और कुछ नहीं है. So in the I thought, for you, me, majority people, I thought means I am the body, I am the individual. When it is replaced by Paramatma, both of them vanish. When you go to sleep, I am this body. Is this thought there when you go to sleep? No. I am the waker. I am the waking jiva. Is that thought there when you go to sleep, when you have absorbed in sleep? No. So I am the body and I am the waker. These two give you, they multiply into so many experiences. Both, these are the two main root causes. They only vanish when you go to sleep. Same thing happens when we abide in our essential nature. The body consciousness and that I am an individual soul, this idea vanishes. It's only an idea in your head. Because you have thought of it again and again and again, it has become strong. Thereafter, after both these vrittis, Aham Atma and Aham Paramatma, both disappeared, then even both Aham Atma and Aham Atma, now next level, first body and individuality vanished. Then Aham Atma, that I am Atma, because we are studying Vedanta, so we know Aham Atma and Aham Paramatma. As long as you are thinking of Atma or Paramatma, it is only at the mind level, thought level. These have to give way. These have to be dissolved. And when they dissolve, when you are contemplating subjectively, only when subjectively it will happen. Otherwise it will not happen. If you think of Paramatma as somewhere above the clouds, if you think Paramatma is in the books, if you think Paramatma is in some saint and sage, if you think Paramatma can be delivered to you by someone's touch, If you think that in sitting in meditation some Mahatma will come and put his hand tathastu and you will become Paramatma, forget it. It will never happen. Because you are Paramatma and you are imagining yourself to be the individual and the body. Nobody else can help you in that. They can guide you, they can direct you, but you have to come to abide in your own essential nature. Uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet. We have to raise ourselves by ourselves in ourselves. No external support can ever help us in this journey. Then is this not external support that I am speaking and you are listening? Yes, it is. But this is the Vedanta Paddhati. You listen, but while listening, you don't become someone. You don't become the listener. If I ask you, if we were live, Swamiji, how do you do that? That you listen but you don't become the listener? I say, okay, after I give a 10-minute talk, I say, okay, repeat everything that I said. I don't know. So you were not listening, that's why you can't repeat it. So you know how to not listen while listening. You know, now you have to consciously do it. Now you have to consciously do it. Not out of boredom for the lecture, not out of, yeah, ये सब सुना हुआ है. No. By continuous, what you call, continuous poise that I am in essence the Paramatman who has never become anyone. Let listening happen. It is auspicious, it is correct. See? Absolute bliss remained. Oh, what is this? Thereafter, after both these vrittis, Aham Atma and Aham Paramatma, both disappeared, only the experience of the absolute bliss remained without an experiencer. Without an experiencer. There is no becoming. Experiencer is becoming. Eater is becoming. Seer is becoming. Listener is becoming. Husband is becoming. Wife is becoming. Father, mother, daughter, sister, all are becoming. You are free from, you are the support of all becoming, untouched. You are the support. You become only when you give importance to the object. Then you become. Take one step back. You become only when you consider yourself to be the body and you consider yourself to be the individual. Then becoming will take place. If we are contemplating on who am I, or we are contemplating on the Paramatma, and what is the nature of both, Atma or Paramatma? All inclusiveness. Accept everything, reject nothing, retain nothing. That is the nature. No becoming possible. Not possible only. He's taking the same example I was taking of a mirror. Like a mirror reflects without any claim that I am reflecting. In this pure existence, experience alone remains. The experiencer and the experienced have dissolved in itself. So subject and object vanish, only the experience remains. There's no one to own it. It is experience is going on. Right now also it is going on. Is there a ego in the mirror? Because ego is not in the self, the Atman. Ego is not in the Paramatman also. Then where is the ego? How does ego appear? It appears only in the mind. If mind is the mirror, your example is taken as the mirror. Does the mind have an ownership of what is it is reflecting? Is it owning that I am reflecting? Hey, chal, faltu ka, you are not looking beautiful. Get out of my way. Bring some other face in front of me. Does mirror say that? No. Whatever comes in front, without ownership, it reflects. Without creating a memory, it reflects. Isn't it? Then are we doing that? Are we reflecting? What is reflection here? Your the names and forms are reflecting as thoughts in your mind. The sounds that you are hearing are reflecting as words in your thoughts in your mind. Everything, the whole experience of this world is only a reflection in your mind. Why do you own the reflection? You know what is owning the reflection? Watching a movie on a screen and getting so identified with all that is going on in the screen that you feel emotional, you start crying, you feel fear because of some ghost or some watching Harry Potter movie or whatever. That is identification. But what is there? There's only screen. All that is just imagination. When imagination, and how is a movie created? Movie is created, I'm just talking about movie here, movie is created one shot at a time. One shot at a time. In the olden times, they used to have the negative, and someone used to go, wing, 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 wing. They keep turning for 2 hours, and this and the what you call the negatives, as they are passing in front of light, the reflection of it falls on the appears on the screen, and you see a continuous movie. But actually each image is a still image, is an unmoving image, but it is happening so fast that you see a continuous movement. So is true in your mind also. Every thought is a still image, comes and goes. But fast movement of thoughts, one after the other, after the other, after the other, you think, oh, all this is, a movie is created, that it is all real. Slow down. So when we do Vaikhari Madhyama Pashanti Para, when we do Japa, we slow down the thoughts. Then automatically this gravity, when something is moving fast, you get pulled into that, like a hurricane or a tornado. It's moving so fast that everything gets sucked into it. So when the mind is moving so fast, thoughts are going so fast, we get sucked into that vortex of thoughts. And that is depression, that is suicidal, that is addiction. So we want to slow down. When we slow down, suddenly we find, and to slow down, what do? You go to sleep every night. Slow down completely. Here we are trying to slow down consciously. And if you don't want this 1.5 hour lecture to become a burden of knowledge, then you remain subjective. Then it will not be a burden of knowledge. Why do we not get tired of talking of this, discussing this, speaking of this? subjective approach. We'll look at it further next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.